Story time. With this final bag, she had completely disposed of the body.
Oh, my cover.
Story time. They were having a lovely time, and then all of a sudden a duck flew above them, and it was beautiful and majestic. Story time. She claimed to know all the information, but did not know how to heal my broken heart. Or did she? Story time. It was common law that a flower be presented to the loveliest lass.
Well, and of course, that's me.
Story time. Just like all the other flowers in this garden, she was just as exquisite.
Shut up.
Story time. Little did she know the mysterious figure creeping up behind her. Story time. Here she comes, the queen, able to kill men with a single stare.
You better watch out, honey.
Story time. After months of research, she concluded that in 50 years, all men would be extinct. Story time. On this blessed day, the two proclaimed their love. Oh, shoot, guys, okay? Story time. He was a gracious soul, offering food to those in need. His kindness Story time. One of these men forgot to check their flies. That man was me. These three were fine. Story time. The two were models, and they loved to strut their stuff. Story time. No matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the demon, but he would not let his soul be taken today. Story time. The young man sat there drinking his grape juice.
Leave me alone.
I am a god, Brandon. You will bend to my will. Story time. To test their love, she decided to use her scary face. Oh. Story time. Suddenly the two felt the urge to get up and dance.
And then the vine guy joined them.
Woo, yeah!
Story time. The man was about to step on a snake! On a snake! But he missed it. Story time. How does it feel for the narrator to become the narrated?
Very awkward.
Story time. At last, the hero arrived to deliver peace and joy to this dark world. I have to pay him. I am so sorry. Story time. She never even knew her shirt had a hole. Lot of style. Story time. This was the moment the lad would propose to the girl. No. Story time. The man came to the bus stop every day to pick up hot chicks. Story time. She had no clue she was about to run into a bridge that was nowhere near her.
Would you say?
Story time. With that girl, he knew he was now ready to beat up that kid Jimmy at school for stealing his milk.
Stupid Jimmy.
Story time. The ladies congregate here every day to scope out the hot dudes.
Yeah, we do.
Story time. Of all the works of art in this room, she was the loveliest. Story time. In every group of friends, there's the dumb one.
Really?
Story time. She then discovered a booger residing in her nose. It would never be removed. Story time. She had been waiting her whole life for someone to sweep her off her feet.
Can you feel?
Story time. It was clear that a romance was blossoming between them. A romance lasting a lifetime. Story time. The receptionist's dark secret was that the computers were only used for Minesweeper.
How did you know?
Story time. He ripped into the bagel ravenously as if tearing into the carcass of a dead gazelle.
Dude.
Story time. She heard that a kick would release a free movie. She heard wrong. Story time. The teacher slaved over the board. She stared at Thomas with a mighty rage. Story time. She stared at the gown and thought, yes, this is something my husband would wear. Story time. The store clerk believed he had put the wrong cans on the shelf. Ah, but he was right all along. Story time. At last, the two came together for a tender kiss. Oh. Story time. The girl loved smelling her phone. It filled her with delight. She sniffed once more. Story time. And that's when they became horribly lost.
Are we lost?
No.
He lied.
Stop it.
Story time. The girl offered him a flyer, but he refused. But she gravely insisted. Story time. The man's butt scratching was complete.
Dude, what?
It was delightful.
True.
What?
Story time. The lad decided to do the honorable thing and share his treat with mother. Oh, story time. The woman was alone, but she seemed to be haunted by ghosts of her past.
You're haunting me.
Story time. As he squeezed the melons, he pictured them as the hearts of his enemies. Story time. The man knew exactly what to do to embarrass his son. Story time. He looked out at the field of beheaded warriors, and in his hands he held the head of the Pumpkin King. He had won. Story time. It became clear to them that one of them had let out a huge fart. Story time. Sadly, only one cookie remained in the store.
Sorry, boys. Daddy's getting that cookie.